Hi everyone, it's Jan again, and I want to talk about the trip we just took. We are fortunate that we are retired and we are able to go whenever we want, within reason. When we take a cruise, we check on the last minute cruises. And sometimes it's kind of hectic because we have 4 days to get down to Florida or someplace else to get the cruise. But we managed to get it together and do it. Because we do it this way, we are able to get fantastic prices on our cruises. Because a cruise wants to fill up the ship. Doesn't help them at all if they leave the dock and they don't have a full ship. The gas is still the same. Well, close enough. But it's still the same if they have half a ship full or they have a full ship full. They still have to have food available for everyone that's on the ship. I mean, just because you came at the last minute and got a cheaper price doesn't mean you're going to sleep on the deck. Your choices of rooms may not be as well as if you got first choice, but you're still on the boat. You are still sailing around with everybody else. You still get fed the same. It's just your choice of room may be a little bit worse. In other words, you may have an inside cabin rather than an ocean view cabin, but that's okay. Depending on the cruise line you pick, some are a lot less expensive than others, but some don't go where you want to go. When the opportunity came up last year for us to go through the Panama Canal, we jumped on it. It was $45 a person. On top of that, you have staff charges for your food in your room, which is, you can pay at the end of the cruise or you can pay at the beginning of the cruise, doesn't matter. You have, well, for us, we buy the insurance because sure as shooting, if anything's going to happen, it will be to us when we don't carry the insurance. So I want you to consider, if you get the opportunity to take the last minute cruises, give it a try. I mean, we've paid anywhere from $30 a person to about $55 a person. But we were so happy to get away from the cold. And you can't get a motel on the beach in Florida for those prices. So, we run away from the cold. When it gets, when it's like, it's below zero, we got snow up to the roof, it's like, forget this, we're out of here. And we leave. We camp on our way down. We pay attention to weather reports when we're coming back, and if it's still horrible weather, yeah, we'll stay down in Florida, or we might go over to the Gulf Coast, and, to them, 50 degrees is cold. To us, it's still lovely weather. Plus, they get sun, and we don't get much sun through the winter. So I would just like you to consider, if you can at all do it, take a cruise. Get away. And if you're not sure you will like a cruise, take one that is just a few days to see if you're going to be seasick. Some people were deathly ill. The last cruise we were on, There was a man that was so seasick that they had him down in the hospital on the ship. And yes, there's doctors and there's hospitals on the ship. They stabilized him. They took him off in Aruba. They took him to the hospital because he was going into heart failure because he was so dehydrated. And then he was going to be shipped back home on a plane. I mean, that happens. There are people that just absolutely cannot tolerate the sea life. We have found if we stay low on the ship, decks 1 and 2, in the middle of the ship, we do a whole lot better than if we're anywhere else on the ship. And the worst place you can go is where they charge you the most money. The top of the ship. You get a balcony, you get a better view, you get all kinds of stuff, and you get real seasick. Think about it this way. Here's the ship on the ocean. And what happens when you have rough seas? The ship's going like this, tilting back and forth. Notice how much the top tilts, and notice how little the bottom tilts. That's important if you're thinking you could be seasick. We always take the lower one. Besides the fact, we can go up and down the steps to get on and off the ship. So we're off before everybody else because they're still waiting on the elevators. So just some information. The other thing is if you're planning on staying in Florida for the winter or part of the winter, and yeah, being by the ocean and the Gulf is wonderful, but they get a lot more money for those places and it's a lot harder to get in. So if you stay in the center of the state, maybe you will have water around you, maybe you won't, but you still got the same sun and the warm weather. And so that is a plus. You just have to be aware of what's going on and plan accordingly. See you later.